Hi, I'm Owen and welcome to SMA Talent's 10 Minutes With. Today I'll be chatting with composer, pianist and pilot Arhynn Descy, who has composed music for films, shorts, documentaries, the stage, solo instruments and orchestral pieces. We caught up with Arhynn a little bit earlier to talk about life as a composer and how that's been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. How did your journey with music begin?
Very long time ago. I guess I learned music as a kid. I started with a recorder, which a lot of people do, but we couldn't afford a piano, so for absolutely ages I'd learned the recorder, and then one day my mom got a cheap piano from a friend, and I started piano lessons, and that was just like the best thing that had happened.
Yeah.
And really, you know, just it all came from that. I studied music, and then I became a piano teacher because I thought my future was in playing the piano. And it was while I was teaching music that I started to dabble with composition and realized actually that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
So,
with us being in our houses all of the time, what do you do to stave off the monotony of lockdown?
I have always been pretty self-sufficient, so I don't need a lot. I can spend a lot of time on my own, and so when lockdown first started, it was fine. It was like life had not changed. Saying that, this third lockdown has really got to me. I'm done. I'm ready to go out now. I'd forgotten how much I enjoy going to industry events, and I used to travel to film festivals a lot. I'm really missing that. But basically, I think I just fill my days with things like I write music, like I did a pandemic project, which was the postcards from a pandemic. If all else fails, I go and bake something. Experiment, you know, with the ubiquitous banana loaf. I've done that, and I've done, I did, a beetroot chocolate cake.
Oh, nice.
You know, why not? Got to mess about in the kitchen. I go for walks.
Yeah. You've worked with so many fantastic artists for your series, Postcards from a Pandemic. How did you and these artists come about collaborating?
All except one are people that I've worked with before on, I've just collected them. You collect musicians if you're a composer. It's great. So I've done projects, film scores or whatever, and I've met people through that, and then just kept going back to the same people. A few of them quite a few actually are based in LA. And that's where I've met a lot of musicians, actually, interestingly, because I did a film conducting workshop with David Newman.
Oh wow!
And met a lot of musicians through that. So that's where I met a few of them. Some here I met in London, and then. Interestingly, so I decided to do all the woodwinds and strings, and I was sitting there. I didn't know a clarinetist, and I was sitting there one morning thinking to myself, well, I guess I need a clarinetist because I've got every other woodwind. Where will I find a clarinetist? And literally, I am not exaggerating, 2 hours later, a clarinetist randomly emailed me and said, if you're ever looking for a clarinet, well, actually, so you got to play on that, and was, completely, he has no idea how.
It was just such perfect timing.
So they had to record at home. Which was very interesting. We got some very interesting results. Like birds twittering. In dinner for one, the birds were twittering. So I wrote back to BJ and I said to him, do you think you could maybe close the windows or something? Birds twittering. He said to me, Arhynn, I've tried everything. There's birds twittering all the time. I'd never realized how many birds there were. The poor guy had to close all the windows in the heat in LA and it's sort of like midnight or something.
Oh my gosh.
So there weren't any birds twittering. Yeah.
Where do you get your inspiration from, and has that been altered by lockdown?
Interestingly, for a musician, I'm actually very visual. So stories and pictures are the things that give me inspiration. That's why I love the film thing, because I actually react to the visuals that I see. And if there isn't a film, then so for postcards, I actually use photos as my inspiration. There were photos that I took, and so I had them up while I was writing music. One of the pieces of music I wrote just for orchestra a while back, called Sandstorm on Mars. That came from a book. I actually created a mini movie in my head and then scored that. So it is visual. I need the picture.
Comparing your orchestral compositions to your solo instrument compositions, how does your composition method differentiate between the two?
I'm not sure it's entirely different. Because I actually hear music in the instruments that I want it to sound in. So when I'm composing orchestra, I'll think, oh yeah, no, I need the violins to carry that, because that's where I'm hearing it. I guess what's different is when you're filling it out and doing the orchestrating part of it. That is obviously different, and then creating interest, or if there is a big action scene, for example, and you've got to cover a lot of space, so you need stuff to change, so it's not just one instrument that's going to carry things. I will then block it out. I'll literally block it out and sit there and say, right, so that can go there, that can go there, and then I'll switch it up, and then I'll do that and plan it out that way. So I guess that's the difference, is at that point where you've got to make it bigger. Even though I'm a pianist and I actually sit at the piano to come up with ideas, in my head it's a flute or a violin or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's on the piano.
Tell me about how you became a pilot.
Well, it's something I always wanted to do. Ever since I was a kid, I just have been obsessed with airplanes. I love flying. You put me on a long haul flight to somewhere, I'm totally happy. Everyone else is not happy, I'm happy. And I went for a drive out into the country, and I went out to this little airfield and went in there, and it just completely on a whim said, can we do a trial flight perhaps? And I got taken up, and I tell you, I came down and I could not stop thinking about it for 2 weeks afterwards. Literally did not leave my mind. I thought, okay, that's it, I have to learn to fly.
Wow.
So I started lessons here. They're very expensive here. And then I went to LA to do the David Newman thing, and also I sort of booked myself 3 months while I was there, and then started flying there. It's much cheaper, and it's a big thing to fly in America. Lots of people do it. There's airports everywhere. So I started flying there, and in the end, that's where I got my license, was in LA. So I've got a lot of pilot friends now, and we will fly somewhere for lunch. We'll all hop in a plane or a couple of planes. Like they'll usually about 2 or 3 planes going, and fly somewhere, have lunch, and then fly back again.
Oh, that is so nice. Yeah. That is so cool.
I mean, you will know from the moment you get into the plane whether it's your thing or not.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty divisive. It either is or it isn't. Mm-hmm. Because it's a very particular thing, flying. Mm-hmm. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not dangerous if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it is dangerous. It's not like driving a car. You can't just suddenly stop if you're not feeling it. You've got to keep going.
You got to ride out all the way to the next.
From the moment you lift off, that's it. You have to concentrate and you fly, and you deal with whatever comes your way. But there's a freedom to it it's a really interesting freedom, because you're actually stuck in this tiny little airplane, but you feel really free.
Where's some really nice places you've flown to?
So flying here, I've flown to France. So if you fly just across the channel, there's an airport on the French side. You come in over the water and then land on the runway. So it's right on the edge on that side. Wow. So I've done that. That was fun. I did a flight to Santa Barbara in. Actually, I've done so many nice ones. So Santa Monica to Santa Barbara is just up the coast. So that's just glorious. And then there's an island off the coast of California called Catalina Island.
Oh, and, yeah.
Matt, that's a fantastic one. You land on a hilltop. It's really bizarre. There's these cliffs and the runway's right at the top of this hill. It's very weird, very windswept and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.